Morning, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed the first week back after half term and the weekend just gone. As I'm sure you're aware, yesterday was Remembrance Sunday, which is now always observed on the second Sunday in November. The act of remembrance was started by King George V in 1919, exactly a year after the end of the First World War. Remembrance Day itself is therefore observed when the First World War ended, on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. It's traditional to observe a 2-minute silence, which King George requested so that the thoughts of everyone may be concentrated on reverent remembrance of the glorious dead. And we will be doing this on Wednesday. But why do we still do it now? This clip from the British Legion explains the relevance of the 2-minute silence.
Let's break the silence on the 2-minute silence and pause. You see, it's not about which side of the argument you side with. Think of it as an act of kindness. You may not know their names, you may never meet them face to face, but imagine what it must feel like to never again see the face of your brother or your best mate. Imagine all you had left was the pictures they left on Facebook or a backpack full of their old school books. This is more than some war in your history textbook. You don't have to agree with the politicians. You don't have to like their decisions, but you can decide to empathize. And yeah, it can be awkward just standing there, but try this. Try closing your eyes. Remember those who risked their lives knowing every second might be their last. So if we give them a second or 2 minutes, is that really too much to ask? Let that football roll to a stop. Let your conversation reach a full stop. Mute your phone, close the laptop, pause your coffee, switch off the telly. Because when it comes to empathy, we can all stand at the front line. And on 11/11, we can all choose to unite. We need to talk about the silence and then pause. Lest we forget, this moment is ours.
The 2-minute silence is about thinking about the 144 Old Laurentians who died in World War I. But it's also much more than that. It's an opportunity to think about everyone who has died during a conflict. Remembrance Sunday and Remembrance Day give us the opportunity to pay tribute to everyone who serves to defend our democratic freedoms and our way of life. We should think about the sacrifice of everyone who's in the armed forces and their families, as well as innocent civilians who've lost their lives in conflict or also in acts of terrorism. So remembrance is not just about the First World War, but also an opportunity to think about those who have recently and are currently protecting us. We often wear a poppy as a visible sign of support for our armed forces community, and this originally came from the bright red fields in Flanders. You might have heard of the poem In Flanders Fields, which was written in 1915 by John McCrae, shortly after losing a friend of his in Ypres, where he talks about the poppies growing between the graves of the fallen soldiers. Previously beautiful landscapes were torn apart during the war, but the poppy was a sign of something new and resilient that could grow amongst the chaos and destruction of the trenches. Wearing a poppy is a symbol of remembrance and hope for a peaceful future, and the money gained from the poppy appeal gives help and support to veterans and those who've been injured or affected by conflicts. On Wednesday, we will all stand at the front of the school and commit to remembering all those who have died in conflict. We should think about what a sacrifice they have made. Think about how lucky we are to be alive today and safe from world wars, and commit to learning from the past and trying to develop a more peaceful world for the future. I hope that you have a good week.